Thank you for having me. So they've confirmed that the 4 people are dead, and there are no new missing people who have been identified. So at this point, they're continuing with, with the efforts of finding people, as well as I know there are DNA samples that are being taken at this recreational center where people had an opportunity to get shelter yesterday, and it's a place of where people are going to get any updated information on their loved ones, and volunteer efforts continue to get these materials that, as the mayor mentioned, to the people who need them. So it's still an ongoing process.
Veronica, describe for us what it's been like reporting from the scene.
Well, it's been quite really difficult to see the images. Yesterday, at first, the police had sectioned off the media from the site, and so at first we couldn't see anything. And so my colleague and I ran to the beach, which is public, and we were able to get pretty close to the building, and the portion that had collapsed faced the ocean. And so there I had spoken to people who were in shock, people who were waiting to hear from missing friends. And it's just been, there are now a few sites where reporters go to try to get information, and it's a really hard day for South Florida.
I can just imagine. Who are the people who mostly live in this building? Are they younger, older, families, people from overseas? I understand a couple of Australians also might have been affected.
Yes, there are people from many countries, including Venezuela, Peru, Puerto Rico is the U.S., but and Australia, Paraguay, as I understand. So there are. It's South Florida and Miami-Dade County is very international, and so yesterday I had spoken to a man who lives in Surfside from Australia, and he was actually at the beach, and he was waiting to hear from 2 friends from Australia. And I saw him later in the evening, and he was still waiting to hear about their well-being. So it's a mix, though. It's some older couples, some younger people who've moved there. There's also a lot of people who are staying there who don't own the units. Like people, I spoke to a man whose friends from Argentina had come to South Florida to escape the difficulties of the pandemic in Argentina at this time, and he unfortunately had not heard from them since the collapse. And so people a lot of international people still missing.
And also there have been some stories that have emerged of residents who were actually really lucky to have escaped the tragedy when it happened.
Yes, I spoke to one man who he was explaining that he had gone to see the Copa America match between Colombia and Brazil at his girlfriend's place about 10 blocks away. And it was about midnight when he and the friends who were together decided that, they were going to each go to their homes, and his girlfriend insisted he just stay there because it was already midnight. And he was telling me, had he gone home, he would have taken a shower and experienced the collapse because his unit is gone. And another gentleman told a colleague of mine that he and his wife had come back from a trip that night, and the power was out, and so they decided to go stay at a nearby hotel, and they escaped the situation by a matter of hours as well. So some people did get lucky.
And it happened in the middle of the night when occupancy would have been high and residents were sleeping.
That's right. Some of these people were, fortunately for them, out doing some things, and luckily ended up going somewhere else. But most of these people, the reports that we're receiving, they were sleeping. They maybe were awoken because there was some loud sounds and some shaking right before the entire that whole portion collapsed. So some people were able to get out, but yeah, in the middle of the night and with much confusion, not able to see really what was happening.
And what do we know about the building? It was due for updating and improvements, I understand?
Yeah, because this city, Surfside, it's part of a recertification program that happens every 40 years. And so this building was going to be going through that process. And it's in South Florida, there are a lot of concerns about structural concerns because we have so much saltwater intrusion happening, and it can cause it can cause structural damage. And so I know that engineers are very frustrated with how slow this process was taking place to know what kind of upgrades were needed and how this could have potentially, I can't say it could have been avoided, but they could have at least known what dire situation the building was in.
And are there fears that the rest of the building might collapse?
You know, I think from the people that I've spoken to who are either architects or engineers, they suspect that could happen because of the weight of what's happened yesterday. So at this point, for instance, they had evacuated a hotel next door, and they actually say it's not because they think that structure would also have this kind of problem, but there's so much debris because this is an ongoing danger zone, really, that it's just, we don't know really what's going to happen with the rest of the structure.
And just finally, Veronica, how long until residents will know the full extent of the issues that actually plagued this building, and also to find out what happened?
They told us yesterday, officials, that they predict a week of work, but just by the side of things, it will probably take longer to really be able to investigate what happened, but at least it will be a week of around the clock work and investigation. And there's already been a lawsuit filed, and so things are developing, and we'll see what we learn throughout the course of the day.
Veronica Zaragovia, thanks so much for joining us on the program and providing us with that update. 4 now confirmed dead and 159 people unaccounted for in that Miami building collapse. Thank you, Veronica.
Thank you.